Chase, welcome to Wednesday, the 11th day of February at 9 p.m. Central. I'm Bobby. You're Chase. We've established that.
I'm Chase.
Thanks for being here tonight. Thanks for taking some time out of the week to forget about the dumb shit and hang out and talk about the real dumb shit. I wanted to start on a somber-ish note. I don't know if you saw, like, literally right before we went live about 30-ish minutes ago, High Guard's studio, the infamous High Guard, Wild Light Entertainment has laid off pretty much everybody, it seems, besides a small crew for some updates. And I think that they had a year roadmap for this game coming out, and I don't think it will last much longer. It's 2 weeks since launch, and they've got enough data to pull the plug, it sounds like, on that studio. So a few other people out there reporting. I guess there's some stuff on LinkedIn where people are talking about, like, it's very few people there doing the job at this point, and doesn't sound great.
Yeah,
so,
it's just like maintenance mode at this point.
Yeah, I mean, look, the games industry has just been wrecked by layoffs. A lot of industries have been wrecked by layoffs, but I still feel that this game would have had a better. I don't know if it would have made it. I'm not here to say that, but I think the Game Awards sent this thing to an early demise, personally speaking.
I think that's more a symptom rather than the cause.
Yeah.
Like, this is, we have just gotten to an industry now where, and it's not just video games. It feels like this is happening with movies. This is happening with probably books. I don't fucking know. But like it's either the most giantest blockbuster you've ever seen that is going to make so much money, or it's like a small indie thing. And if those are the only two things that work now, there is nothing in the middle.
Nope.
It used to be that we talked about, oh, there aren't any B video games anymore.
No B
now
industry.
There aren't any A video games anymore. Like, there's only the hugest live service AAA thing, or you're like wild. A Rockstar that is being able to make some, and even Rockstar can't do it because they also have to make a live service game like they did with Grand Theft Auto Online.
Yeah.
Or Red Dead Redemption's online stuff. Like, this is just happening industry wide now, where it has to be some kind of juggernaut, or it can't exist at all. Publishers aren't willing to take small risks to get small rewards. They have to take big risks, knowing that this is something that stockholders care about,
or no risk whatsoever,
value and things like that. Sure.
So it's a bummer. It's a bummer to see, man. I agree with what you're stating here, 100%.
And it sucks because it would be. I bet a game like High Guard, if it got to be made, with a maybe a smaller focused campaign to it, had some cool ideas, that could potentially be successful and fun, and we'd enjoy that as a video game. It probably wouldn't sell as much as a giant as a giant live service game might, but that's the problem.
I want to know, like, is there
have that many?
I agree. I 100% agree, and I also wonder. I'm in a point of my career where I'm in the room where there's some pretty big decisions being made, and there's a lot of risk that, like, are being weighed in those conversations. I would love. I mean, I don't say love. I would be very curious to know, like, hey, we have this much runway. Like, we're launching this game. We need to see either, like, is it more social post about the game? Is it more downloads? Is it engaging with that, whatever economy on a free-to-play game there is? Like, I don't quite know what, like, puts a thumb on the scale for these things. But in a, like, conversation, hey, we're launching this game. We have X amount of time post-launch to redeem these things or do these things. Like, I wonder where it becomes like do we pull this thing offline and say, hey, we should have launched in early access. We're pulling the game. We're going to come back in 90 days with an update on where we're at, and we will let you know what the future of this game is and when we're going to launch it. Like, would have that done more harm, more good? Would that have given them a little bit longer of a runway? I don't quite know.
I don't know either. I don't think I know I don't love early access, but I also don't think early access is the answer here. I think I think it has to be that the game didn't work. Like
Sure.
you can't have that many live services that can all sustain each other. Like it's just not possible. There's going to be winners and losers out there. And the winners have kind of already been chosen, and even when one does kind of break through, it doesn't break through for very long. And even the ones that were successful aren't really all that successful anymore. Look at your destinies. And it's just that
Creeping.
these publishers cannot conceive of a world where where the game doesn't do gangbusters.
Yeah.
And so this is all they consider funding. Like they won't fund a smaller, more focused, more interesting video game. And even the people who did, think about your remedies out there who are making single player games that you really enjoyed, Bobby.
Yep.
Well, they just hired some asshole from EA that's going
Gonna
to
scale their company.
add value and
Yeah.
add loot boxes
Yeah.
or make something live
I know.
service or like fundamentally
Well, I mean,
change
but
them
dude,
in a
Sony
way
just
that
did
doesn't
that.
seem like it'll work for Remedy.
Jim Ryan wasn't it Jim Ryan at the end of that? Yeah, it was him. Where he was basically like, "Hey, Naughty Dog, you're making a God of War battle royale. We're gonna make not Naughty Dog, I'm sorry, but Santa Monica. You're making that. Naughty Dog, you're gonna be making more of The Last of Us multiplayer." They purchased Bungie. Like Sony, near the end of that Jim Ryan era, was all in on taking what made them successful. And I'm talking about Remedy, but looking at what Sony misstepped into. This is when Concord came out. These studios that are built, and I'll even go back further. I'll point to BioWare with Anthem. Like these are studios that have made super deeper. You're playing one of those right now. Like, and when I was playing KOTOR, I was never thinking to myself, man, these guys should make a fucking multiplayer game. I never thought about that. And I look at
I was bummed when they announced they were going to make an MMO. Like that's
Totally.
not what I wanted.
No.
Just make KOTOR 3, goddammit.
100%. And so when we look at this shit happening right now, and these studios that are overnight being asked to like change and pivot their core strategy that brought the people together to make these video games, had a mission. Like-minded individuals, we want to tell thoughtful, narrative-driven stories about a single IP. That sometimes you get lucky and you can find a way to spin that off into something that makes you buku bucks. I'm sorry, you had a huge hit with Control. Remedy had not seen anything of that like probably since early Max Payne. And then you come back and you're like, we're going to revive Alan Wake, and you got a whole new lease on life with that. And you think to yourself, let's make Firebreak. Let's make this really shitty fucking multiplayer game set in a world that the premise is holding it up, but the gameplay wasn't there. And then that's why they're in the spot. They lost their asses over that thing. And that was going to be this in-betweener that fucked them in a lot of ways. And now you've got Control coming out this year. And I think they got this guy to turn that into a money-making machine. I don't know what they're going to do with it. I don't know if there was like 2 or 3 DLCs for Control when that came out. You had the tie into Alan Wake. They kind of rode that wave. And then Alan Wake did so good. And then you have this, and now they're kind of like, fuck, our image might be a little tarnished. But they showed up well at the Game Awards. We'll see what happens. I think that was a really fair call out. I want winners. I want these things to be good. I want people to have jobs. I want that. Like I hate hearing about these games being, basically launched and killed. We talked about Anthem going offline. We talked about preservation. It's a bummer, dude. It's a fucking bummer.
Yeah, it's just unsustainable at some point. And we're still, we can talk about late stage capitalism and how it's across the board, things are unsustainable, and yet they somehow continue to linger on and on as things get slightly worse every day. We're a video games podcast, though. We're going to talk about the video game part of it, and that is just the sad part, is that those games that we love don't happen as often. We either get games that get repackaged up into remakes and thrown back at us, or we make the giant mega franchise thing that has to have a live service attached to it, or it's a small indie studio who's doing something kind of cool. And those feel like the 3 pillars of video games right now. Yep. And that sucks. That does not feel like a healthy environment to make cool and interesting video games.
100% agree. And to combat that, I'm going to end this little soapbox with some good news. My shipped, and I'm going to be able